can raise a hand on the chat. Okay, hello Mina. But remember, if you are not on your camera, then we don't see you, right? If you raise your hand physically. And I also encourage you to turn on the camera if it is possible. Let me tell you the reason. I always encourage meditators and mindful community to not to be hide behind the camera. I know it is good platform, and but because when you turn on the camera, you are fully participating. When you are not turning on the camera, that means you are not fully participating. Then your attention can be divided. If a meditation is something we practice to stop the dividing attention. Only see your hands goes up. Anybody else? New? First time? Okay, looks like nobody else. Good. Well, first of all, yes, welcome to our retreat. As you know, we are having monthly, but quarterly we have 3-hour session. And one of the thing is, one of the reason is having the retreat is about grounding ourselves, practicing to grounding ourselves with community. Sometimes we all are doing same thing, but we are all over. As example, think if you want to move a rock, pushing that rock from the various direction might not do anything to rock. But if we are well organized, lining up onto one side and pushing towards the direction that rock want to move, that will be useful. So that is where we find a retreat. The retreat help us to find direction, help us to find like-minded group, also sharing our noble friends and noble community to change the world. The harm that come to animals is even heavier than a huge rock. One person might be not able to do anything. But if you have number of people, at least we can start by shaking the rock. Then with our continuous effort, with continuous community gathering, we will be able to move rock to the direction we want to move. But I would say in this field, in this work, we are not really pushing rock toward the slopey path. It's not a slope. We are trying to push this rock, heavy rocks, towards the hill, opposite direction of the support. Entire community, outside world, our families, they are pushing against us. We don't have natural support. That's why I said we are pushing this rock towards the hill. But remember, if you can push to the whole of the top, rest will go automatically. It will roll into direction automatically. So that's why now this time of the world we are doing hard job. It's a hard work. In this work, no way we can give it up. Think about, some of us we are rolling the rock. Then some people get tired on the way. Okay, I want to take a break. Then if a significant amount of people take a break, what happened? Rock is not moving. If bunch of people move away, then again rock going to roll backward. Because remember, we are pushing towards the hill, opposite of the slope. Therefore, the commitment is very important. As a mindful community, our commitment is very important. Not only that, we need to gain energy without giving it up. We are being committed, and internally we are developing ourselves. So at the same time, as a community, we are developing ourselves. So in this all activity need energy, support, gathering, companionships. That's what we are building as a community with this retreat, monthly retreat. Therefore, one thing what you can do is you can invite like-minded other people, friends, introduce them. I know there are a lot of like-minded people, but with lack of commitment or with lack of support, they are just being an individual people. Remember that as an individual person, you may push rock from the all the direction, it's not moving. That's why we have to build as a unity, as a community, as an organization, make the organization stronger. That way we get power to push it easily. That's what we are doing. So your commitment, collecting like-minded community, people, friends, family, that would be very useful and helpful. Anyway, let us begin by settling ourselves with mindful practice. Now, mindfulness is not just mindfulness, because mindfulness is a word or practice often misunderstood or misled. And I often find people who says, my mindful practice is swimming, my mindful practice is playing and walking. But there are two types of mindfulnesses, harmonious and just mindfulness. As a meditator, we are trying to develop harmonious mindfulness, practicing harmonious mindfulness, which is helping us to establish ourselves, not just giving temporary calmness uh, or temporary or momentarily happiness. This meditation is helping us to deepening ourselves. And for that, to practice that, we better to have a right posture. If you are sitting on the chair, sit with a straightened back. Place your both feet on the floor and without supporting back of the chair, and move to front of the chair, front edge of the chair. Okay, let us begin. I'll guide you with breathing meditation. We'll start with the breath. Now gently close your eyes. Feel how you have placed your body. Allow you to be relaxed. Feel your surroundings. You are calm. Your environment is supportive environment for your practice. We are sitting with our noble community. Then we have this community support. You are not alone. Take a deep breath. Let it go. Again, take a deep breath. Let it go. Feel your breath, your present breath. With this breath, we all are connected. The breath you are breathing in is the air that may have exhaled by many human beings, animals, or many other living beings. We all are sharing same breath. The exhale you exhale will be in thousands living beings' lungs. We all are connected. Feel the all other living beings. With the breath you are breathing in, and let go this breath with friendliness, with healing energy to heal many other living beings. Let go to inhale this breath. Feel your present breath. Allow this breath to calm your mind and relax your body. Simply observe your present breath. Select a place to observe your breath. It can be your upper lip or tip of the nose, inside the nose. It can be your chest or your stomach. Select a place, then keep your attention there. Allow your body to breathe naturally. Observe your present breath. When your mind wanders, notice it. Gently and mindfully bring your attention back onto present breath. Observe your present breath. Remember, you are not a reactor. You are an observer. Observe your present breath. Remember, you are not a reactor. You are an observer. Observe your present breath. Observe your present breath. Take a deep breath. Let your body relax. Open your eyes mindfully. Any suggestions, any question about your practice? Yes, Meena?
Yeah, I have a question about the noise. I know about if there is a constant noise, for example, in my apartment that is out of my control, and it interacts with my meditation. I know that the way is to observe the noise and let it go. But if it is constantly coming and going, but how can I deal with that?
Well, that's a very practical question. Uh, but when we come to meditation, we think entire world should be free from any sounds. And also we think we should not have any pain. Also we think there should not be any thoughts in our mind. But what is happening, even having a thought in our mind also out of our control. It is not in our control, sounds around us. But we can limit some disturbances, like we can find most quietest place, and we can turn off the light, maybe have less light around us. Also, we can train good posture, which is helping to sit down without play pain longer time. That happened with the improving the posture. But the main intention during the practice is, it does not matter what come to your mind. You are practicing to not to pay attention to any of those things. Even though you hear sound, by knowing you hear sound, you bring your attention back onto your breath. So there's a point in your life as a meditator, you may appreciate those disturbances because that's where you can check yourself. But at the beginning, we consider that as a disturbance. Just remember, even though you have a thought or any disturbance happened, you already have involved, that's why you notice it. By knowing that, bring your attention back onto your breath. Maybe taking a deep breath is helping you to pay more attention to breath. But not taking the deep breath all the time, only one deep breath. Bring your attention back onto your breath. Again, go to natural breath. So, yeah, as a meditator, of course, you cannot stop the sounds coming from surrounding. But once you notice it, bring attention back onto breath. Any other questions or thoughts?
Mina, I completely understand that. And my struggle is usually my body. Like as soon as I start to meditate, something like my leg is itchy, and then I like am so fidgety. So that's my struggle, more internal. But I completely understand all of those things that crop up that we sort of have to use to test us in our meditation.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's the noise. I know I cannot, you know, all the things that you said. But I think my problem, I think it's my ego, because this noise has to be fixed by the landlord, and the thought always comes to my mind that, oh my God, they are not taking me seriously. They are not paying attention to my problem. They have, you know, my ego always comes up. It is not the noise, but I think it's my ego.
Well, yeah, it's part of your ego. Also, it can be expectation too. Let me tell you an
Yeah.
example. And our retreat center in Minnesota, located in a wooded area by a lake, beautiful environment, but there's no roads or no houses nearby. But we have a lot of birds. When we practice meditation, I have never heard yet anybody complain about birds chirping. We hear a lot of birds all the time. But if somebody happened to forget turn off their cell phone, everybody complain. Both are two different sounds. But when it comes to birds, we accept it by thinking it is not somebody's responsibility to turn off that bird's chirping. But when it comes to phone, you think it is somebody's responsibility, then you want to blame them. Even though if people have a chat, even the other side of the meditation room, still people complain because we think that sound should not be there.
Yeah.
So therefore, I hear what you're saying as an ego. We think others should understand you are practicing and they should not be noisy, and you think you should be provided good meditation environment for your practice meditation. When that's not happening, we complain. So it is good to know that. It's good to notice that, oh, that's my ego is stopping this. Oh, my expectation is stopping this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Yeah. So looks like no other thoughts. That way I can share something more. Uh, so one of the reason that we are practicing breathing meditation is we do not have to go anywhere to get to know ourselves, because your breath represents the nature of the mind. When you are calm, you have a calm breath. When you are anxious, your breath also fast and anxious. Remember that you are releasing certain energy with your breath to the world. And also we are all are connected with the breath. As I mentioned during the meditation, now you might be inhaling the breath that exhaled by many animals. We all are sharing the same air, same breath. Therefore, we do not have right to destroy the air we have. It's going to affect us. At the same time, it's going to affect all other living beings too. Even our future living beings, future generations. Therefore, all of us living beings are connected. In order to live in the world, we have to support each other. We have to save each other's life. We have to be friendly with each other. Now think about, if you are supporting others to live, indirectly others also will support you to live. As long as you are respecting others' life, other living beings also respecting your life. That's a simple method that we are following, we are promoting. When we have self-centeredness, so self-centered mind, then only we think, I'm the one most important, not others. My family is what more important, not other families. And my species is more important, not the other species. Therefore, it is okay to them to die for my life. It's okay to hurt them for my happiness. Think about how selfish that is. Think about, well, I think I have shared this story in this platform many months ago. One day when I was visiting one of our friend who was at the nursing home, after visiting this friend, we just came outside and because we were then waiting for another friend to come meet us. Then a young boy, about 12 years old young boy, came to us and said, "Oh, who are you? Are you Buddhist?" I said, "Yes, we are monks." "And oh, you must be good people." "Why? Why are you saying we are good people?" "Because you don't hurt others." I said, "Well, yes, we are not intentionally hurting anybody." Then this young boy asked right away, "Are you vegetarian?" I said, "I am vegan." He said, "Oh, that's wonderful. I am also vegan." And this 12 years old boy. I said, "Oh, really? What made you to be vegan?" "Well," he said, "well, if I don't want others to kill me for their food, what right I have to kill others, so support him to kill others for my food? I don't want to eat anyone else's meat because I do not want others to eat me for their food. I thought, wow, this is 12 years old wise man, honest boy. So, and we all know it is not a difficult science to understand. This is about understanding of love and compassion. So people think that you have to be older to understand some certain things. Now here I am hearing that same thing what I was practicing a long time, but by this 12 years old boy, and who didn't have any influence from childhood. Then going further, I asked him, how do your family like it? And he said, well, my mother didn't like it, but I told her this is the reason. Then she heard me, and she said my grandmother was the most supported one for me. So I'm here today to see my grandmother who's at a nursing home. So I thought, wow, this is a wonderful story. So that come through by knowing himself. That's what he said. He said, I do not want to eat anyone else's meat as long as I do not want others to kill me for their food. So knowing the breath, you're knowing you. Yes, anybody have any thoughts?
I don't know if anyone else has experienced this in their lives, but I feel like there's something about little kids that they kind of just get it a little more, or I don't know, maybe are more in tune and care about animals, and then it's almost like taught out of us. Um, I've I've met so many little kids who just are naturally sort of disposed to being like wanting to be vegetarian or wanting to not eat animals or feeling compassion towards animals, and then as they get older, that sort of
Mm.
kind of falls away.
Yes, that is correct. So in this February, Andrea, who's our um, executive director, and myself, we went to Thailand and Vietnam. One of the things actually we work in Vietnam is we are trying to convert dog farms into vegan facilities. There's one success there, and we found one dog farm is turning into mushroom farm. So, but I have heard about it, but I have not directly experienced the dog farms. While I was there, I experienced that lot. And now after I come back home here in Minnesota, one of my friend actually visiting with her daughter for daughter's birthday in every year. And I was when they asked me about experience in Vietnam, then I said, and this kid also actually 13 years old now, girl. She asked me, do they have dogs as a pets in Vietnam? I said, yes, they do. Then how come they eat own pets? And then I said, well, some people have their pets as their chicken. Now, when people eat chicken, they eat somebody else's pet. Cows, definitely. Can you pet for somebody, part of your family? And also, they also have their own families. Every single animal people are eating can be somebody's pet. And I said, then we can't really, the people living in the country that we highly eat other animals, we cannot blame other countries because that's because they are eating dogs. But what we need to do is we need to stop eating other living beings for our food. Because they also have, every living being has desire to live. Think about us. We will do anything to live. We will give up anything to live. We will give up anything. We will sell everything if we need to, if we need money for our living. And we all do that. When you're going through some health issues, you spend all this wealth to live. Because living, the desire to live is more strongest. Then we do not have right to take somebody else's desire away because we want to live. Yeah, that's the message. By we can just learn. It doesn't. We don't have to be Buddhist. Even we don't have to be meditator. We only have to know who we are. By knowing us, then we will not hurt any other living beings. But we avoid this part by being a self-centered one. That's our trouble. When you become self-centered, you don't treat others the way you want to be treated yourself. That's where we struggle.
Mina.
Yeah, I want to know your thought about that because the way that I see animal suffering, I think I connect it with my own suffering, and that's why it makes it so unbearable. Like when I see an animal being abused, it's just so unbearable. And I think it's because I am connecting it with my own suffering that I had in my life. So isn't it a kind of self-centered way of seeing it?
Yes, that's right. That's why, as advocate, you all have job to do, which is raising your voice for those who doesn't have voice. As organization, Dharma voice, source of animals, that's the meaning behind it. We are raising the voice for voiceless. But it's a more mindful way we do it, more effective way. That's the meaning of Dharma, effective and mindful way. Yes, definitely. And we all have that pain, that feeling when we see that suffering. Think about when people are ill treating kids, we all react. But when people are ill treating animals, only some react. Yes, Marianne?
Hello, everyone. Um, yeah, Katie, when you were talking about children, it really rang true for me. And first of all, just a lot of things that Bhante and everybody else is saying. Our compassion is strength, and a lot of times, it can be annoying and bothersome when we hear people say derogatory things about people that don't eat animals, that we can't handle it, and all this kind of stuff. And of course, we can't handle it. It should hurt the way you feel inside when you see such horrors and things like that. And I'm sure Gail will be talking about this extensively very soon. When I was a child, I come from a farming background. My family has a farm. And I loved pigs. They're still my favorite being. I have pigs everywhere in my house, in the kitchen, and things like that. But when I was a child on our farm, um, I loved all the animals on the farm. But then one day, the truck came parent and to take them. And I was like, oh, where are you taking? I was very young. I was like, oh, what's going on? And because I wasn't informed yet as to what was really going on. And and then one of the farmers said, oh, where do you think bacon comes from, kid? Ha 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 ha. And all the big men laughed. And I became very angry
Mm.
because all of a sudden it was the most horrifying connection, that it was the thing nobody talks about, and it still is in most households with children. It's the thing nobody talks about. And I think it's a cruelty in and of itself to at least not have children understand where things are coming from and how things are made and things like that. But after that, it was over for me. I did not want to eat meat. I kind of didn't like it in the first place. Never liked milk. And it became a struggle. And like you said, Katie, it gets like taught out of you. It just, you just, okay. My dad was actually the nicest, believe it or not. He said, okay, just eat a few bites and then you can eat more of everything else. So I was forced to eat a little bit of meat at every seating. They didn't know any better, to be fair to my mother and father, even though he was a pharmacist and she was a nurse by trade. It was very difficult for me. And I didn't, until I was completely free as an adult and came round to all of this on my own after college, was I able to um, become vegan, vegetarian, vegan, and all that kind of stuff. So, but the compassion is strength, is what I keep going back to, is in a lot of what we deal with. And we have to remember that this is a strong path. This is somebody, that has strong fortitude, and realizing that this is the way that the world needs to be versus just plowing through and destroying. And it's just not our place to be so destructive, let alone eating others and things like that. It just isn't our place at all. And it's so clear that it isn't. And so I commend all of us in that regard, but also it's a hard thing to try to teach people when there's so much media out there telling them the opposite, that the big guy with the destructive weapons and the destructive things, these are the strong people. I feel just the opposite. And I think a lot of people in this movement feel the opposite. But I felt that as a child. I felt that as a child that something needs to be done. This isn't okay. And this was a small farm. And, I saw things I didn't want to see after that. And I was just mortified. They took me to another farm next door to the sow barn, where all the moms and the babies. And I think they thought I was going to like it. And honestly, it horrified me. And I thought, I can't be the only one, right? Well, I thought I was the only one until I discovered Morrissey and the Smiths when I was a teenager, but that's a whole other story. I was like, I'm not the only one. But anyways, it's different now. These kids have other resources and stuff. But yeah, Katie, I'm telling you, the work you're doing in Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia in general, but I think the work that's being done in Southeast Asia is so important because of the, concentration of Buddhism there and everything. And so I'm so happy this is really taking off, and everything we can do to support it in any way. I'm grateful to do that. Thank you. I just wanted to comment on that and remind everybody that compassion is strength.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. I just wholeheartedly agree, and very, very similar childhood story of, you know, being exposed to that and finding out where meat comes from, and kind of everyone around everyone around you kind of normalizing it, like, oh no, but this is just the way it is, and having to kind of push back and like, but it's not the way it has to be. um, So yeah, want to echo the thanks to all of you for continuing to go against the grain uh, for the sake of compassion and for animals.
So, probably we can take a 5-minute break. Okay, we will keep this chat open and just take a bathroom or bio break quick and can come back. Hello, I think we are back. Yes, if you're back, you can turn on your video. Okay, looks like we have 20 of us. Well, I think I know most of you we meet each other in monthly basis, and some of we know about some of you and what you do. But today I thought I would raise a question which you all can answer in real quick and maybe going with alphabetical order. You all are animal lovers, and we all understand the suffering that animals going through because of human activity, because of our actions. Then also we all know that we need to raise voice and we need to do something to minimize that or change that, minimize the suffering, animal suffering. And therefore you all are doing something. Maybe can we all take about 1 to 2 minutes and share what you do? That maybe there are two things behind it. Number one, that way you allow other community members to recognize you as who you are and what you do. Number two, others also can learn from you what you do, and then others can include or add with their lifestyle. Therefore, just learning from each other. Katie, you want to direct that? Probably call name and then, but make sure to when you are speaking, unmute yourself. That way we can hear you out. Yeah, without taking too long time, please, because we have 20 people. Be aware of the time.
Do we want to take another minute or so to think, or does anyone want to volunteer to go to go first or share? Joan, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't, sometimes I don't feel like I really do enough, but I belong to a Buddhist center where I live, and whenever we have potlucks, I always make sure I take a vegan dish and I always label it vegan. I also had something put in the newsletter that if it was a little blurb on this organization that people might want to know about Dharma Voices for Animals. And if they wanted to talk about veganism, they could contact me. Nobody did. But anyway, I put it out there. And, I try to tell people just in general that I'm vegan without it feeling like I'm hitting them over the head with it. But anyway, and sometimes when I go to restaurants, I ask for, what are your vegan options, just to let people know that that's important. That's about it.
Thank you, Joan.
Anyone else want to volunteer? I think those are huge things, like little actions like that. I know they don't feel like a lot sometimes, but just kind of like normalizing veganism and sharing about it in a way that's approachable and non-judgmental, I think is so incredibly important.
And also, I want to tell you, Joanne, what you are doing is really brave action. There are a lot of people who thinks but who's not acting. Therefore, I don't want to minimize what you are doing, and you are doing something big and sharing. I know a lot of people, they are vegan secretly, but they don't talk about it. But you are talking about it and you are opening yourself and you are encouraging a Buddhist center. That's big. Thank you for doing that. So who's going next? Yes, Jean?
Jean, go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me all right? Okay. Um, at our Buddhist gatherings for the Clear Mountain Monastery sangha that's here in Seattle, we have a potluck after every Saturday gathering. And I pretty early on made signs so that people, when they bring their food, it's vegan, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, or dessert. That's our 4 categories. And over the months, we hardly ever get anything non-vegetarian. In fact, I've almost stopped putting out the sign. And we also, there's a couple other vegans in our sangha, and we have shared material with the monks, and they're very open to it, but they don't feel that they can mandate vegan or vegetarian food because of the way the Buddha said they had to eat anything that was given to them. But they now have purchased land for an actual monastery outside of Seattle. And I'm wondering how I could best advocate for making that monastery a place where animals are not harmed. So anyway, yeah, that's a big deal here now for this Clear Mountain. So any thoughts that you have, Bhante, I would appreciate.
Yes, actually, Buddha never said that. Buddha never asked monks or anyone to eat whatever is given to them. Then, but this is what I do. Normally, when I heard that from different monks, I said, okay, show me where Buddha has said that in Buddha's teachings. And show me which sutta or which place. But everybody failed to do that because everybody think Buddha said that. No, Buddha did never said that. And so, Vanija Sutta, one of the sutta, and Buddha directly said, as to do not support for raising animal for meat. And there are even 5 traits Buddha has to not to do as Buddhist. 2 of them is related to animals. One is animal farming, factory farming, animal farming for meat, that is prohibited. And number 2, maintaining butcher house. Those are the 2 things. Slavery is none, but it's not really related to animals, but slavery is another one. So therefore, no, Buddha never said that. So there, but without saying that, I would ask them, do you know the place or the sutta where Buddha has mentioned monks should eat anything what has offered? Because we have a really simple argument even these days you can think. If you are somebody who has diabetes, will you eat sugar just because that offered to you? That's not how you should take care of yourself. If you think that is poison for you, you should not eat that. So,
Also, Jean, if you wanted to send an email about the information of the new monastery, we do have our Sustainable Sangha Collective, and then we also have a new program called the All Beings Coalition, where we're helping monasteries and sanghas transition to become vegan, and we have small grants available and things like that. So if you want DVA to get involved too, we'd be happy to help.
Yeah, thank you. Bhante, I appreciate your input. I sort of remember that there's a sutta where the Buddha says you could eat meat if you didn't suspect it was killed for you.
Well, there's a sutta called Jivaka Sutta. In the Jivaka Sutta, it was saying actually that the language we need to understand as at that time, Buddha used that method to people to understand, and this is how Buddha was saying: if is there any meat, when you see, you can suspect that as a meat, then you can eat. If you see, when you see, if you are not suspect that as a meat, then you can eat. Or you didn't hear that come from the meat, then you can eat. Then even you cannot think of that's a meat product, then you can eat. That's in the Jivaka Sutta. So that doesn't mean you can eat anything. Eat by. So Buddha was saying, when you see, if you suspect that as meat, then you cannot eat it. Only you can eat if it is not meat.
Yeah, I think it's their tradition. Thai forest tradition has interpreted it that it's okay. And then the other thing is we don't want to create division in the sangha.
Yeah.
So then, anyway, I appreciate your input.
Stephanie, do you want to share?
Yes. I wanted to also comment about that, the Buddhist just taking whatever is given. And I wonder if if a human being passed away and someone used their body in a meal, would they eat it? I mean, that might be my pushback question. Would you eat it? Would the Buddha be okay with that? As sort of an argument against it. And then also about the overall question, what are we doing for animals? I have a meetup group called Vegan Powered. So it's for vegans or aspiring vegans, and I have various events and activities. And we're definitely open to non-vegans joining us. And I'm hoping that, by being open and friendly to non-vegans and having them join in, that it can start encouraging them to be more vegan. And actually, it's many of the local vegan events. There are a lot of non-vegans that join in. And I know sometimes people might apologize and say, "Oh, I'm not vegan. Is it okay if I'm here?" And I always say, "Of course, yeah, we welcome you here because what better way of influencing people than having them join you at like a vegan restaurant or at a vegan event, being able to talk to them about it. They may not know anyone who's vegan in their life. They may not have anyone to talk to. So this is, I feel like, a way of helping people do that. Also, I do a monthly meditation. I and a few people, we co-lead monthly Saturday meditation. We call it our vegan sangha. And I feel like all of us in the group feel like we get supported on our vegan journey by being there. Whenever I go to a restaurant and I know non-vegans are coming with me, like for a birthday or something, I always go to a vegan restaurant or make sure that the whole meal around me is going to be vegan as a way of introducing people to veganism. And I know a lot of people have been very surprised at how delicious the food can be. And I don't accept the idea that you have to go to a non-vegan restaurant to accommodate for non-vegans, because vegan food can be eaten by anybody and it's delicious. And so that's sort of helped. I think I've seen some family members sort of get closer to the idea of wanting to do it. And for the last 15 years, I've made Thanksgiving dinner, and it's been vegan for all my non-vegan family members. They've gotten pretty accustomed to it, and they like it too. My niece and nephew, they don't know anything other than vegan Thanksgiving. They're like teenagers now, but they grew up with it. They grew up with it. That's all they know is like tofurkey or my lentil loaf or something like that. And my nephew seems pretty close. He's talked about veganism a couple of times. He got excited one day, and he's like, "Aunt Stephanie, I bought some tofu the other day," and he was like very proud of that. So I feel like all of these things are kind of planting seeds with other people. So
Thank you, Stephen. That's wonderful.
thanks.
Yeah. So actually, I want to add one thing for Jane, your question, because I forgot to mention that. So actually, Buddha has mentioned once, you can eat anything if it is not killed for you. Now that's how that statement has twist. Now the situations like one of the good example you can think of today, if somebody is offering you food out of roadkill, then that killing did not happen with the intention of killing. Because if you kill animal with the intention of killing or hurting others for your own food, that's a one action. Then accidentally that death happened, but then that meat is okay for human being to eat. In those situations, it's okay. Not really raising animal for your food, like road killing. Now, let me tell you the incident. Afterward, some Buddhist communities, they read, I mean, not recently, they read in these teachings differently about 500, 600, 100 years ago, especially Burmese. What did they do? They pushed their cattle over, over cliffs. When they fallen from the cliffs, then it is considered as they died with accident. So that's how people twisted that. You don't kill, you let them die through accident. That's how human mind work. Tricky human mind work. But the statement was, now think about for the medicinal purposes. Medicinal purposes, and in the past they have used certain meat, but not to the killing. They find animals who kill by other animals and that type of situations. Not died by natural disease. And in the medicinal purposes, that has happened. So that statement has twisted. And also in the Buddhist teachings, and we are encouraging to not to going into any extremes. That also twisted. Not to going into any extremes. Because if we are learning to treat others that you want to be treated yourself, and also we are the community who practice compassion and love, you cannot hurt somebody with compassion. You cannot kill somebody with compassion. You cannot say, well, I need to live, therefore give me your body to eat. No, you can't do that with compassion. Therefore, we have to be realistic thinkers. Now, it is not about really what you are eating. It's about your intention behind it and how did you get that food onto your table. So that's why some people come into those arguments, because arguments based on the way how they see and how they think. Okay, those are the few thoughts I have. And Stephanie, thank you so much for your sharing, and thank you for your effort of introducing vegan food to your family, even without giving extra attention. And you are normalizing that. And also, I also personally agree that nothing we can convert in vegan restaurant. Of course, we need to support vegan places, but if we can turn non-vegan place into vegan, that's more important. Maybe encourage them to have at least uh, few vegan entries at first. Then slowly push in that direction. That's where the work happened.
I really like that. I really would like to explore that conversation because I have another friend who also believes that going to non-vegan restaurants and buying the vegan option is a more important way of activism than supporting the vegan restaurants. That's a little hard for me because I really want to make sure I support the vegan restaurants, but I really like to hear the argument for that.
Mhm. Yeah, but of course we have to make sure that while you are doing that, we are discouraging vegan restaurant to exist, right? We need to encourage them, but once you know they are surviving, they are good. Now then our second step would be encouraging non-vegans to turn into vegan. Then encouraging that some entries to be vegan. Every time when I go to restaurant and I ask them what are the vegan options you have. Now some restaurant I find about 5-10 years ago they don't have any entries, but now they have different vegan menu on the list. Why? Because when the market is turning, they need to provide the market. Maybe you can be the first person who's representing that market. Because then when they start to learn that oh people are keep requesting vegan food, then they have to introduce vegan food in order to exist their business. Like think about any grocery stores these days. 10 years ago you didn't have any options, but now you have many options in those grocery stores. Bakeries they didn't have vegan options, but now they do. That because of the customer request.
Yeah, the vegan options have exploded with everything, and not just with food, also with clothing. Like I just recently bought a pair of running shoes, and a lot of the websites had at least a FAQ question that asked about, is this vegan or are there vegan options? And I think that things have changed dramatically in the last 10 or 15 years because that normally would not have been on the FAQ about whether or not it's a vegan. So clearly our vegans are asking this question.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and brands are responding by offering more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Demand and supply, right? Let's create the demand.
And one other thing, I did an extensive research and I have a list of maybe 30 or 40 companies on a Google sheet. If anyone wants that to save yourself the trouble of having to do the research, because it took quite a bit of time, I'd be happy to share it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Marianne?
I know I've spoken already, but I just wanted to add, Stephanie, about the restaurant stuff that I do go to non-vegan restaurants all the time because since moving back to the Chicago suburbs, it's very different than Colorado. And the options, there's a lot of what I call American restaurants out here in the burbs, bars and grills, American food. And if I didn't go and meet my friends I grew up with at these kinds of places, I would never see them. And and so granted, I just did it yesterday. I met two gals I grew up with out for lunch and we went to like kind of a typical bar and grill kind of place, but they had multiple vegetarian and vegan options. And so I got a vegan Impossible Burger patty melt. And it was very good. And granted, I don't eat like this frequently because I tend to like to eat a little healthier or whatever, but I enjoyed my French fries and I enjoyed the patty melt, and it was very good. And my friend, one of the ladies there, also she got an Impossible Burger as well. And inside, I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She's actually getting the veggie burger. But I didn't say anything. I just was like, oh, this, acting normal. So the reason no, there are vegan restaurants around, but they're not really geographically good for these gals. So I absolutely do make the effort to go to these places and get the veggie option, often knowing that it's going to be, so it was a frozen patty or whatever. But I also got to tell you, there is a brewery nearby, and they have a veggie curry, like coconut curry you could put tofu in. It is so delicious, and it has been on their menu for years amongst their grilled, fish, and amongst their veg or their burgers and typical brewery food. And it's so good. So I always do there. You'd be surprised sometimes what these guys come up with. But I also, with some vegan pals, we always hit the vegan restaurants. Absolutely. But it is hard to get non-vegans to want to go to a vegan restaurant. And for me, it's a geography issue too. There just aren't that many out where my non-vegan friends are. So I meet them in the middle and I order off of the menu. And I think it has made an impact. And this one gal, she says she's been trying to eat more plant-based, and it has really helped her because she's had a lot of health issues. And so I was very pleased to hear that. But I let her tell me that, you know. I didn't inquire, but she just shared. And I thought that was a wonderful moment. And so it was a good experience. And so I think it's a good idea to kind of keep all options open. And heck, maybe one day they'll join me at Manna Kitchen, the vegan place. You know. So both is fine. Both options are fine. I just thought I'd share that.
Thank you.
Colleen, do you want to jump in?
Hi. Um, yeah, well, just to, you used the word plant-based, Marianne. I think that is actually a really helpful term. Now, I think vegan is a scary word for a lot of people because plant-based, it makes it more clear. Yeah, vegan is, I think, yeah, for some people it's scary. So that's a good helpful term. Well, I just wanted to say that I kind of struggle with wanting to do more. I talk about being vegan, not to convert anyone, but because I was vegetarian for many, many years, people know that, and they'll ask about it, and so I will explain. Sign petitions. It doesn't seem like enough, but this week where I live, something has come out in the news that was, it's not new, but it's very shocking. Can you hear me okay, by the way? Okay. I live in the Netherlands, and I'm from Minnesota, but I live in the Netherlands, and there came out that there have been ships packed with very young calves going from Ireland to Holland, to the Netherlands, and they are they're young steers who they have no value, sold very cheaply, packed into these ships, and they have been on the ship for 80 hours without milk or water, and this is the also part of dairy. I mean, this is what happens, the suffering of these baby animals, and I think that has brought it into the public eye again. So it's also really because it deeply affects me as well. I recommitted myself to this week to trying to look for more ways to do that. And because this is something, of course, people see the real face of what that means, eating meat, because they're sold as a 6-month-old calf for veal. But this is your piece of cheese as well. They're considered a byproduct of the dairy industry in Ireland. So it's very much in the news right now. So very glad to see that it's, yeah, because I think sometimes people don't, and I include myself in that in the past, not fully seeing the cost of dairy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Gwen.
Oh, hi, everybody. Thank you so much, DVA, for just being. I don't do enough, or I'd like to do more. But one small thing that I've done recently is to reduce the change my dog's food. He now maybe gets about 1/4 to 1/3 of his food is vegan. And I know that there are lots of vegan animal products out there that people can use. Anyway, I just thought I'd give it a try. So far, he's doing great. So eventually, maybe I will increase it to even more. But other than that, I don't keep it a secret that I'm a vegan. Whenever I'm with family or friends or at restaurants, it's very clear that I'm vegan. Anyway, I'm hoping that maybe today I'll learn about some other things that I can do.
Thank you, Gwen.
I think we have time for maybe one more person if someone wants to speak, and then Marina.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Okay. I have a question along the lines of things we can do. We used to have a chapter here where I live of Dharma Voices for Animals about 10 years ago, and it disbanded for various reasons. I'm wondering if anybody else has tried to put together such a chapter.
Yes, Marine, and can you remind us where do you live?
Oh, sorry, Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin. Oh, yes. Actually, yes, I came to that chapter. I led a mindful eating retreat.
Yes, I remember. I met you. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it is better to start it again if you have a group of people, and definitely we are supporting for that.
Yeah, I think the problem is the people who were involved before aren't interested in doing it now. They're doing other things. So, yeah, I'm not sure how to go about it.
Yeah, if you have like-minded people, maybe 2, 3, and let us know. Maybe we can have a meeting and we can talk about how we can improve that. So it always better to come from the interest of the people, and yes.
Yeah. Maybe I will ask in our Madison Area Vegans Facebook group. That's
Definitely.
about the main place now. I'll try that. Thank you.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
please reach out. We definitely are looking to expand our chapters. We're building out our US projects a little bit more, and hopefully down the line, we'd love to have some regional coordinators one day to help get those chapters up and running across the country and the globe. So this struggle really is just finding committed volunteers in the area to keep the chapters up and running. But we'd love to provide that support. So yeah, please do reach out. We'd love to help get that back off the ground.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we can go with another meditation practice. And I want to share with another thought with you because this morning I learned from somebody's email. That might be useful for you. I don't know how many of you have seen or read the book I published last year, The Mind Workout. My announcement regarding that, and if you have any Buddhist centers or Buddhist clubs who want to buy that book, let me know because I can order that book from the discount prices for group. More than 5 books if you are, if any group want to order, let me know and I can order with the discounted prices for you. That's an announcement regarding that. Let us practice a little bit of compassion, metta meditation. Again, come back to your sitting posture and gently close your eyes. Feel how you have placed your body. Take a deep breath. Let it relax. Let us begin by ourselves. Focus your mind onto middle of the forehead. Now think strongly. May I be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. In moment by moment, with each breath, you are cleaning your body, you're calming your mind. Feel your breath. Feel your body. May I be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. May I be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May no obstacles come to me. May I be free from anger. May I be free from anxiety, fear, or frustration. May I be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. May I be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Feel it. Feel that moment by moment with each breath. You are clearing your body and mind. Be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Now let us open our heart further. Let us include all the animals, including your pets, the animals whose suffering, animals whose in all the farms around the world face into difficulties, all the animals in forest, in the woods. All these animals, just like you and me, want to live long, free from pain and difficulties. May all living beings, may all animals be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Those who's causing the suffering for animals, may they gain wisdom, may they gain more compassion, may they gain love, may they gain wisdom to realize the harm they cause for those animals. May they become more kinder. Those people who's causing those pain to animals, may they have more wisdom to not to be self-centered. May those animals be free from suffering, pain, and fear. May all animals be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. May all animals be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Now, let us cultivate the boundless love towards all animals. Let us reshape our heart with unconditional love. Let us repeat these two words in our heart with all those intentions. Be well, be well, be well. Feel it. Feel the healing energy generate in your heart, healing your body and healing the world. Be well, be well, be well. Feel it. Let it cultivate. Take a deep breath. Let your body relax. Open your eyes mindfully. Okay. So then let's take another 5-minute bio break before we go to third hour. And I'm sure you all may enjoy and having our guest speaker in next hour. Therefore, make sure to come on time.
Thank you, Bhante. See you all
Thank
back
you.
here in 5 minutes with Gail. Hello, everyone. I don't know if anyone's back yet or we're still on our break. I'll wait maybe 30 more seconds as we kind of filter back in. Thank you all for being with us as we switch gears to speak with Gail. We still have a few stragglers, but folks trickling back in. Okay, let's get started. Welcome back, everyone, and special thank you to Gail Eisnitz for being here with us today. She's our special guest, author and animal rights activist. Gail's the winner of the Albert Schweitzer Medal for Outstanding Achievement in Animal Welfare. She's the chief investigator for the Humane Farming Association, and her work has resulted in exposés by ABC's Good Morning America, Primetime Live, and Dateline NBC, and her interviews have been heard on more than 1,600 radio stations. Her work has also been featured in such newspapers as the New York Times, the Miami Herald, Detroit Free Press, Texas Monthly, Denver Business Journal, Los Angeles Times, Washington Post, San Francisco Chronicle, and the U.S. News and World Report. So we are very, very honored to have you here with us today, Gail. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
And
great.
is there a bit of an echo still on my end? Because I can definitely mute. Nope. Okay, awesome. Well,
it's such an honor to be with you guys today. I mean, it's just such a relief to be with a group of people who care so passionately about animals. It just feels great.
Definitely. I am reminded of the value of this space every month joining our sangha. So I guess to get started, Gail, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself for folks who may not be familiar with your work? I don't know if you want to start by just sharing how you first got involved in animal activism and what your role sort of has been in the space since then.
Sure. Well, it all started when I was 12 years old. I saw a documentary on PBS called Say Goodbye, and excuse me, it was about endangered species. Must have been the first documentary that was ever produced on endangered species because it was a really long time ago. But there was a polar bear mother with her two cubs, and a hunter came along and shot her point blank. And the two polar bear cubs raced off and looked back at their dying mother with such terror and bewilderment in their eyes that it was just seared in my brain. It just changed my life watching that documentary, because I just knew from that moment on at the age of 12 that I had to do something to rescue animals. So I went to college to study natural resource conservation, and then I tried to get a job in the tiny animal protection movement back then. That was 43 years ago. And it wasn't until I wrote several articles, excuse me, for the New York Times on animal abuse that I was finally hired by some animal groups in Washington, D.C. So I started as a writer, and then I threatened to quit. I was working for Animal Welfare Institute and then for the Humane Society of the U.S. And I threatened to quit because I didn't want to just write about animals. I wanted to document what was happening before I exposed the things that I documented. So I became an investigator, and I did a lot of work on slaughterhouse violations while I worked for the Humane Society of the U.S. And I came to have a supervisor who had some kind of problem, and he didn't want me to expose my slaughterhouse findings, so I had to quit. And he ended up in jail for life. That's part of my story, but that's just a teaser. I won't say why he's in jail now. But he ended up in jail for life, and I ended up at Humane Farming Association, which incidentally was established 40 years ago as a Buddhist group for animal rights. So that's where I've been for the last 35 years, Humane Farming Association. And I'm chief investigator there, and we've documented slaughterhouse violations and factory farm violations and exposed them widely through the media and through our campaigns and things like that. We also operate the largest farm animal refuge in the country, which is a wonderful, wonderful place for animals that have been seized as a result of cruelty cases. We have over 1,000 animals on 7,000 acres, and it's just a beautiful paradise for animals, and they get to live out their best lives after they've suffered so horrendously. So anyway, that's how I got started in animal activism, by watching a documentary when I was 12 years old.
Incredible. And I think that does link back to our earlier conversation about how, children are more tuned in to what's happening with animals and more empathetic. And we kind of naturally are inclined to care about them and see that suffering and want to act. So Gail, and I guess I'll also say if other folks have questions, I have a few prepared for Gail, but if you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand. Would love for this to be a dialogue and for you all to be involved. But Gail, I know you have a new book out of sight, and you hinted towards some interesting things that have happened in your life that you feature in the book. But do you want to tell us a little more about the book? And I'll also put in the chat Gail's website where you can purchase that book if you want to find out what happens.
Great. Yeah, there's a bunch of links on my website to different booksellers, so that makes it easy. Or you can just go to Amazon. Anyway, Out of Sight is different from my first book, which is called Slaughterhouse. And Slaughterhouse was a nonfiction expose which documented violations of federal laws inside USDA inspected slaughterhouses. So that was not an easy read. Out of Sight is a memoir. It's the story of my challenges and my triumphs over the last 40 years of documenting and exposing animal abuse. And it's not the easiest read, but the chapters are really short, and people are saying they can't put it down, and it's a thriller and it's a mystery. And the reason it's a mystery is because I put two stories together. I have a visual processing disorder. It's a rare neurological disorder, but I see the world as made up of dots. Everything's pixelated, which is fine because that's how I've always seen it, so I'm used to that. But I also have had bouts of where I feel like I have dyslexia of the world, where nothing makes sense and everything is confused. And it's like living in a funhouse mirror. And I linked that story to my efforts to expose and document and expose violations inside slaughterhouses and factory farms. And I'm fighting to find a diagnosis for what's wrong with me for 65 years. And it turns out that the malady that I suffer from wasn't identified in the scientific literature until 12 years ago, and I wasn't diagnosed until 4 years ago. So it was kind of hard to be documenting animal atrocities while I was going through that, but I put those two stories together for a reason. I wanted to make it a memoir. I wanted to make it something that was like a mystery so that people would want to read the book, not just animal advocates, but mainstream people, so that people would think, wow, this is a story. I'd like to find out what happens. And they have been calling it a suspenseful medical mystery. And they say that they can't put the book down and all this stuff. So that's like really great, because while I want animal advocates to read it, I want people who consume animal products to read it and find out the story of what's going on behind the closed doors of slaughterhouses and factory farms. So that's basically what my new book is about. It's not really a litany of horrors. My first book sort of was, but it did extremely well. Slaughterhouse turned thousands of people vegan, which was amazing. And this book was, as I said, not written for animal advocates. It's written for mainstream people, so they'll find out what's happening. So that basically explains what Out of Sight is about.
Karen, do you want to jump into the question or comment?
I just have a first question I have, Gail. Thank you so much for being here. My first question is, in your work, your investigative work with the Humane Farming Association, is that national? I mean, do you keep your focus on national in the United States?
Yes.
And my second question related to that is, I know that, for instance, there's been, I don't know where it is now, regarding horse slaughter and that, I understand, though, that some horses still get sent to other countries like Canada and Mexico, where they may not be slaughtered in the United States, but they're slaughtered in those countries. Does your work also deal with things like that, since those horses come from the United States?
Well, my work is national, but since it's mostly factory farms and slaughterhouses, so much of the meat that is produced in this country is exported internationally. It's just incredible that we export so much meat to China, so much pork to China and places like that. So it does have an international impact. As far as horse slaughter goes, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're not slaughtering horses in the US anymore, but we do ship them to Canada and Mexico, where slaughter is terrible. So we're pushing for the passage of the SAFE Act, which would prevent the shipment of horses out of the country, would prevent slaughter in the United States and the shipment of horses out of the country for slaughter.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, I look forward to reading your memoir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Gwen, do you want to ask a question?
Can you tell me when you wrote the book Slaughterhouse?
Well, it's been a long time. It's been almost 30 years. It came out with a new edition in, I think it was 2006, but it was written in 1997. So it was very successful in that I was able to use my findings to force, push, beg a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter from the Washington Post to write a front page story on the violations that I had exposed. And that generated outrage in US Congress. And Congress funded the Humane Methods of Slaughter Act for the first time in 43 years. The Humane Methods of Slaughter Act, which requires that animals are humanely handled and rendered unconscious or killed before they're bled and butchered, have been on the books for 43 years without a dime of enforcement. So that front page story, which ran 3 pictures from video that I got inside a slaughterhouse, was the impetus behind Congress allocating millions of dollars to enforce the Humane Methods of Slaughter Act. Not that it's being properly enforced, but it was a step in the right direction.
Well, thank you so much for your work. I remember reading a book called Slaughterhouse, and it probably was your book, and it definitely did change my approach to eating. So I can't believe I'm now meeting you. Thank you.
Great, that's wonderful.
Hi, Gail. I just read your book last month. After I learned that you were coming on our program, I looked it up and, oh wow, it's available in our library. So I read it and I enjoyed it, and I think you met your goals because it does read like a mystery and you want to keep going. And I'm just amazed at all you've been able to do with your visual handicaps and mental. I mean, it's just an astounding read, and so I would encourage everybody here who hasn't read it yet, get the book. It's wonderful, and wow, I'm just so pleased that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean. I hope that the people that are going to build the new monastery can read the book, because maybe that would help them make it a vegan monastery.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's a great idea.
Well, oh, Marina, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to go ahead?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. I just had a question for Gail. Gail, can you speak a little bit about the animal save movement, and if you're involved in that at all, and just talk about it a bit? I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know that much about the animal save movement. I think it's wonderful. They document animals going to slaughter, which is terrific. I think Anita Kranzik, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, had read Slaughterhouse, and that had been part of her reason for starting the movement. But I know it's all over the world, and it's just wonderful that people get out there and document animals going to slaughter, because otherwise they're pretty much anonymous anyway, but at least they know somebody cares.
So I guess I can ask another one of my questions, kind of going back to Gail, you mentioned, and Jean brought up your undiagnosed visual processing disorder. I know you've had struggles battling OCD and even breast cancer. Have you found that your personal suffering or personal struggles have helped you to empathize with others, whether that's animals or humans?
Yeah, they definitely have, because excuse me, growing up with OCD undiagnosed, because I didn't find out what it was until I was in my 30s, and I was doing all these strange things and I didn't know why. And growing up with an undiagnosed visual processing problem made me feel really, really isolated and alienated. And I think that that's why when I saw the documentary on PBS when I was 12, and I saw those faces of those two little polar bear cubs who didn't know how they were going to survive, and the panic and bewilderment in their faces, I I could totally relate to them. So I think it's helped me empathize with animals and people. Um, but it certainly has made me relate to them. I feel like I am them sometimes. So, yeah, I definitely can relate to, because farmed animals are among the most alienated and isolated animals that there are. So I definitely relate to them. And as far as the breast cancer goes, that happened, interestingly, I was 35 years old, and I I was documenting the fact that thousands and thousands of hogs were being not properly stunned and immersed into the scalding tank, fully conscious and kicking and splashing water out and everything. And I had that really bad boss at the time who wouldn't let me expose the violations. And I said to a colleague, there's no history of breast cancer in my family, but it'll be amazing if I don't get it. And 6 months later, I had it. So it's like the body can do interesting things, and it was just part of my story. But the OCD and the visual processing disorder were what made me feel totally isolated from other people.
Thank you for sharing that. I don't know that I can speak for others, but I do think it's something to be said about folks in the animal movement who sort of feel like something's not quite right, or quite, they feel different from other folks, and that I know personally has helped me really be able to connect with animals and feel their suffering. And I do think it also connects to Mina's comment earlier about how we're feeling this suffering. And I think, Mina, you had kind of said, like, is there another way we can feel this suffering that isn't so strong? But then Marianne, who had to hop off, had said that is kind of our power as people who empathize strongly, is his ability to feel others' suffering and have compassion for it. That's our strength. And Gail, I just really love that your story highlights how your own suffering allowed you and allows you to connect with animals and other beings who are suffering.
Thanks, Katie.
So I know, oh, Karen, go ahead.
I have a lot of questions for you, Gail. One of the things I wanted to ask you is that even in my lifetime, the factory farms have just grown and grown, and there's more and more of them, and fewer small farms. And I'm wondering if you are seeing any, are you seeing a very strong movement of more humane farms, probably small farms, and that if we're just recognizing that right now a lot of people eat meat and don't know where it comes from. And I know that there's some labeling on some products that will say humanely raised, and that sort of thing. And I don't know what that criteria is, but I'm wondering if you're seeing any kind of movement that way in terms of farming.
Well, in my investigations, I haven't, because I focus on these large factory farms that
Okay.
produce 1 million animals a year each. It's just gotten out of control. I mean, the violations that happen inside these factory farms are so heinous, and I don't know that there's a movement about smaller humane farms. I do have a friend who's working on a film about growers who raise animals under less inhumane conditions, so they must be out there. But my experience is, I can't even tell you about the atrocities that we've documented on video and in affidavits and everything like that. Yeah, in large farms. The farms are getting bigger and bigger. I mean, the dairy that we investigated had 70,000 cows on it. So heifers and cows. And so they're just, and one operation that we stopped, we shut down what was going to be the third largest hog factory in the world. It was going to produce about 1 million pigs a year. So we were able to shut that down through legal means. But they just keep getting bigger and bigger. I know in China they have hog factories that are 26 stories tall now. So yeah, it's just
Oh,
to the point of no return. It's just awful.
that's it. That is awful. That really is awful. I also
Yeah.
just to mention how important that I feel it is that books like yours, films like the film AO about the donkey. I don't know if you've seen that, which is a very effective, incredible film. I think anything getting out there like that helps. Along
Right.
with the legal piece of it too. I'm just so appreciative of what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Gail, I know you've seen a lot of suffering, obviously, in all of your work. How do you manage to keep going in the face of all of that suffering and what you've seen, and to keep going forward and to not burn out, I guess?
Well, one way for many, many years was just to suppress my feelings and not feel what I was dealing with, which is not a good mechanism to deal with the atrocities. But now I'm starting to get more in touch with my feelings, so that's good. And the other way is just to take it one step at a time. I'm in a spiritual group that supports me, and that's very helpful. I'm also in a Jewish meditation group, which is wonderful. But I do it, I've done it because even in the face of my visual processing disorder, I didn't feel like I had a choice. I knew that the animals at this slaughterhouse were being skinned while fully conscious. I knew that the animals at that slaughterhouse were being dismembered fully conscious. I knew that the hogs were being kept in gestation crates and were engaging in stereotypies, which meant they were going crazy. I knew all this stuff, and I couldn't just walk away from it. I had a boss who was preventing me from exposing it, and you can't sleep at night. You just have to do the next right thing. And for the first many years of my investigations, I found myself with all sorts of maladies, stomach problems, breathing problems, everything, because it was coming out sideways. But now I've come to realize that I'm not responsible for all the 82 billion animals that we slaughter, land animals, each year in the world. And I can just do my part. So I just take it one step at a time and do it that way.
I definitely connect with that, and feeling like I am responsible for helping all the animals, and I have to do everything, and putting a lot of pressure on myself to save as many beings as I can. And it's nice to remember, especially at events like this one, that we're in this together, and there are a lot of us doing this work, and if we're all just doing what we can together, that'll be a lot. So
Right. And when I started, it was just me. There was nobody else doing any farm animal issues anywhere. And like Bhante said about the pushing the rock up the hill, you can't do it alone. Well, now there are groups dedicated to farm animals besides Humane Farming Association. There are a lot of people that are working on it, so it's not just me anymore. So that's encouraging.
Stephanie, go ahead.
Hi, Gail. Thank you for being with us today and all the work that you're doing. So important. I wondered what you think about the future. Do you feel that lab-grown meat could be a solution? Or do you think the current vegan movement, trying to get people to become vegan, do you think that we'll one day have a vegan world?
Well, I have a lot of hope for cultured meat because without that, I'm pretty screwed. I mean, and I have a lot of hope for vegans. I mean, I think they both play a role. I think they both go hand in hand. But production and consumption are increasing so dramatically of meat and poultry and dairy and eggs. So we have to have an alternative. And it's great that we have all these new alternative products, but lab grown meat and being vegan, I think they're both like a big part of the solution. I have a little factoid that is that 55 years ago, we slaughtered 10 billion animals in the world. And here it is 55 a year. And here it is 55 years later, and we slaughter 10 billion animals a year in the United States alone. So it's going in the wrong direction. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Joan, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I'd like to know how you, Gail, how you got access to these factory farms and how are you allowed to video all these atrocities? I can't imagine doing that. And thank you for doing it, but I'd like to know how you did it.
Yeah, I have different ways. I present myself as somebody who I'm not, and I get in under false circumstances, or I work with workers who, the workers that I've worked with at slaughterhouses and factory farms have been extremely forthcoming because they're sick and tired of abusing animals, and I've gotten so many affidavits from them, so much worker testimony, just saying we don't want to do this anymore. But our supervisors are making us work at such outrageous line speeds that we have to not properly stun the animals and things like that. So I've gotten videotape both by going in myself under false pretenses or getting workers to carry cameras in to different operations. So that's basically how I've done it. I mean, we had one operation that was so bad, we had 800 pages of worker testimony that we presented to a state attorney general, and he refused to prosecute because law enforcement is captured by big ag. But we've done that a lot with prosecutors and come up with the same problem.
Speaking of judges not wanting to prosecute, I know you've had a lot of experience having your stories silenced and discredited by the media, by big ag, by law enforcement. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and what that was like to be doing this research and documentation and having the stories not being picked up? And then second, do you have any advice for folks in the movement who are feeling helpless or feeling like they can't break out or feeling like they're not being heard and like the cards are sort of stacked against them? Do you have any advice for other advocates sort of experiencing that?
Sure. Well, I worked with ABC, NBC, and CBS on my slaughterhouse work, and they worked for many months with me. Two of them came out in the field with me to interview the workers who were sick and tired of abusing animals. And in every case, all three stories were killed on the grounds that it was too disturbing and that viewers might change the channel. So that was very, very disheartening, just when I thought I was getting somewhere, and then they did that. But in a few cases, the media has been very helpful. The New York Times has run stories for us, and as I said, the Washington Post did that great front page story. And HBO did a documentary because I guess it doesn't feel like it's under the thumb of of sponsors. HBO did a documentary for us, which was wonderful. It was about a hog factory where the old sows who had spent their lives in cages, crates 2 feet wide or less. One of the hog factories we visited, the cages were only 19 inches wide. These are 400 to 600 pound animals in cages that are 19 inches wide. And the sows could no longer walk after a while. After pumping out litter after litter, they could no longer walk. So the the producer was kicking and hot-shotting and dragging sows down a barn alleyway out to a door to the outside where he was throwing them over this 4-foot ledge onto the freezing cold ground. And then he would fasten a chain around their neck and fasten the other end of the chain to a forklift, the tines of a forklift. And then he would raise the forklift and the sows would struggle for like 5 minutes until they finally suffocated under the weight of their own bodies. And excuse me, we got that on videotape. And HBO aired a documentary called Death on a Factory Farm, which was an hour-and-a-half long expose of the case and the trial that resulted. And HBO was the one media outlet, besides print media, that was willing to expose some of just the tip of the iceberg of the atrocities that we've documented. But that's Death on a Factory Farm is available on online. So if anybody's interested, it aired like scores of times on HBO. It was wonderful that they actually produced the documentary and were willing to air it. But and we've also had trouble with as I said, with attorneys general in 6 states where they just refuse to prosecute blatant abusers. In one case, as I said, we provided 800 pages of testimony from workers and videotaped evidence and still photos and everything. And they didn't investigate until we kept on top of them. And 6 months later, they investigated after they gave the factory farm a month's advance notice to clean up. So that was absolutely ridiculous. And then they said it was a model farm and something that other farms should emulate. So it's been very challenging to say the least. But in terms of what people should do who are feeling helpless and that they feel that the cards are stacked against them, I don't know. I just say you have to keep pushing and keep pushing because we've seen, for example, we have National Veal Boycott, Humane Farming Association does. We've seen a 96% drop in calves raised for veal production over the years. So you just have to keep pushing and pushing, and not to sound self-promoting, but it is. I just want my book to get out there to the mainstream because I think it could make a difference. So I'm so glad that people who care about animals are reading it. Now I just want people to get their libraries to stock the book or post about it or read it and just share it to get the information out there. I don't care about book sales. I just care about getting the information out to the mainstream public.
Yeah, so let your library know to keep Gail's book on hand out of sight and order a copy for yourself, order a copy to give to a friend. I think that's a big way we can support the movement, is just keep spreading the word, and Gail's book is a great way to do that. Gail, I know you mentioned you have spiritual practice that you do. I don't know if you are interested in telling us more about that or about other ways you take care of yourself. I know we talked about the balance of suffering versus, keeping going forward. So are there other tools that you use personally to kind of help stay healthy in the face of the hard work that you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm in a 12-step program. I don't know how much people know about 12-step programs. They're generally for families of alcoholics, but there's no alcoholism in my family. I was just so desperate to find a solution to my visual processing problem. I thought maybe it was because I was suppressing my feelings, and I thought if I got into this 12-step program, it would enable me to get more in touch with my feelings. And the point of 12-step program is to realize that you're not in control of the universe, that I'm not in control of the universe, which I always thought I was in control of all. I could rescue all the suffering animals in the world. And this program taught me to turn stuff over and not feel like it was all up to me. I'm not God. So that helps me a great deal. Plus I have a lot of friends in that program. So that's very supportive too, having them. But that helps me deal. And as I said, I'm in a Jewish meditation group, which is helpful as well. So
That's really similar to what I've experienced in like Buddhist groups, is kind of like, starting first within and how can I change myself and how can I kind of like come to terms with the world the way it is. And there's this balance between like accepting the world as it is and also like working to make change that I know I struggle with, and I think is this thread in Buddhism about, how do we like both accept and also keep working towards this change and compassion and better world. And I think that's a really important spot to be in and place to balance.
right, exactly.
Margaret and then Karen.
Want to thank DVA and Gail for the hard work and the integration of various movements. And Gail, this is the first time that I've heard of integrating what some of us might call the disability empowerment movement, which I've been involved in for decades, and the animal rights. And there's no end to possibilities for learning. And I really, really, really thank you all for making this available. So keep up the self-care and the very, very difficult work. Thanks again.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important place to highlight that it's really useful for us to kind of join forces with different movements. And I love the that you've been involved in that, Margaret, and that directly relates to Gail's ability to connect with others through your experience and your own struggles. So thank you both. Karen?
Yes, once again, Gail. I just wanted to say that over the years, I'm so pleased to meet you because over the years I've given small donations to Humane Farming Association. And you are one of the reasons I really wanted to be on this was I wanted to learn more from you about what they do, what you do. And it's so much more than what what I thought it was. And I just wanted to express again my appreciation. And I also feel like with what you do with your reporting and with your book, that, one of the overwhelming things that I find about this, about factory farms and the all of it, is that I can feel really at a powerless. I can feel at a loss. It's so big, and it is big. Um, and it sounds like it's getting bigger. But I have found just in personal ways when I've spoken to people, and I may say, I was vegetarian for many years, and now I'm vegan. And I found the simplest thing for me to say to people when they, would kind of bring it up in a way of why I was, to just simply say, I don't like how the animals are treated. And it's been amazing, that simple sentence, and saying just that the conversation just kind of drops into this little silent moment, and I know it's landing in some way. And so I just wanted to share that, that sometimes I think because something is so overwhelming that we feel like there's nothing that we can do. But there's certainly something personal I can do in my own life in terms of how my diet and that. Um, and then also, I'm so grateful that there is an organization like yours that I can support. I just wanted to say that as well.
Thank you so much, Karen. That's so nice that you support Humane Farming Association. That's so nice. I mean, we do great stuff between that veal boycott that I was talking about, and we do a lot of litigation. Lately, we've been involved in a lot of litigation. We just got charges. They weren't filed. They were they admitted guilt against a company that allowed decided to go out of business. It was a poultry company, broilers, and it decided to go out of business, declare bankruptcy, but the bankruptcy was declined. So it just stopped feeding 2 million birds. So we went after them for cruelty charges, and we were successful. So we do a lot of litigation, all sorts of things too. So I really appreciate your support.
Any other questions or comments anyone want to share? Jean.
Hi, Gail. As far as Jewish meditation, I have no idea what that involves, and I'm just curious about meditation in general. So if you can share anything about that, I would appreciate it.
Sure. It's just a little group that we've been meeting for probably 8 years, twice a month. And we do Jewish chants from various, they're just readings from various things. They're in Hebrew. And we do chants for a half hour, and then we meditate for 45 minutes, and then we talk for 15 minutes. So it's very sweet. It's a very small group, but we do it. We're pretty loyal. We do it every other week. Well, twice a month. We do it twice a month. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And just for the record, my sister is a Buddhist. And I've also been to Bodh Gaya, so that was pretty exciting. Just for the record.
Yeah. Well, it sounds quite familiar, just different resources of the chanting and the readings, and then, the silent meditation. And my Buddhist group every Saturday, we add a Dhamma talk, but other than that, it's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. it's just something to make me know that I'm not alone and I get the support of the people in that group, and it's very peaceful and serene.
Any other questions for Gail or comments, thoughts? We have about 10 more minutes, so. Margaret?
If you could talk more about the choice of creation of the the structural organization of humane farming, or whatever you call the organization, and how you keep that sustained as an organization.
Sure. And I don't know that much about its inception. I started working there 35 years ago, and it was started 40 years ago, and as I said, as a Buddhist organization for animal protection. And now we have 300,000 members. We, as I said, we have this 7,000-acre animal refuge, which is like a paradise for animals. I don't get there often, but when I have been there, it's been very healing. It's in Northern California. And we operate on donations. We, yeah, we operate on donations, and we're a small organization. We don't have that many employees, but we do have a number of employees out at the ranch, the animal refuge. It's called Suwana Ranch. We have a number of employees out there watching after the animals. We just got 200 goats in that were from a goat dairy where the goats were being terribly abused. And PETA did an investigation, and we're the only organization large enough to take 200 goats. So they came to us because we work well with PETA. And we're in the process of taking them and delicing them and bottle feeding the newborn babies, because a lot of the does were pregnant. And but anyway, it's just a great organization. It better be, or else I would have been there for 35 years. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you. Enough for a little more reading online and your book. Thank you. Books, plural.
Gwen, go ahead.
Yes, can you say the name of the ranch again? Is it Suwana?
Yes, Suwanna, Suwana Ranch. You can look it up online.
Okay.
There's a nice little video about it online.
Okay. And my other question is, do you feel that it's helpful at all to contact our political representatives? I know I live in Washington State, and I'm pretty sure I've gotten from organizations saying, contact your senators, blah, 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 about such and such, like the SAFE Act. Do you feel that it's beneficial to do that, or is it just going into a mailbox and being ignored?
No, I think it's worth it on things like the SAFE Act. And we also have been working to get language into the Farm Bill, or standalone bill, that would require that farmers who allow their animals to die in bad weather should not get reimbursed by the federal government for those animals, because right now they get reimbursed 75% for animals that suffocated in the snow or something like that, which we think is ridiculous. And we just are trying to reform that and trying to say that that all producers need disaster preparedness plans before they get reimbursed. So we had legislation introduced in Congress last session that called for disaster plans before farmers get reimbursed for their dead animals. And we're trying to get that legislation reintroduced in this session. And letters do help because members of Congress really do respond. Even on that issue, even though there's no bill right now, there's a letter circulating for the Appropriations Committee that would require that farmers and ranchers have disaster preparedness plans before they're reimbursed, because we spent hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars for countless dead animals since 2008 when the program was established. And they do respond to that. That's how we've gotten that letter to the Appropriations Committee, because people are writing in about the livestock indemnity program and how it needs to be reformed. So that's just an example. You can look on our website if you want to know anything about that. It's hfa.org.
Okay, so that was kind of my next question. When you are talking about us, we're doing such and such, is this mostly through this Humane Farming Association, or is this through your website?
No, through Humane Farming Association.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Just to echo, I agree that it's so important to speak to your legislators, to email them, introduce yourself, let them know what you care about. They're, in theory, supposed to be representing us, and if we're letting them know what we care about, then they know what to fight for in Congress and in our state legislatures. I had like a very similar experience recently in Vermont. We got a bill to the governor's desk to relax the land posting laws. It's a complicated issue, but right now in Vermont you can hunt pretty much anywhere on anyone's land unless your land is very, very strictly and precisely posted. So this law would make it easier to prevent folks from just coming onto your land and hunting. And I emailed my very Republican senator and asked that he support the bill. And I don't think it was, just me reaching out, but in the end he did end up supporting the bill, which was surprising and exciting. So I do think you can have a real impact by reaching out to your representatives.
Yeah, I don't think it's a black hole. I think it really makes a difference.
I do too.
Well, we might have time for one more question if anyone has one. If not, Gail, I don't know if there's any last thoughts you want to leave us with, anything you didn't mention or want to share with the group.
Just that we have had successes and that we stopped all the egregious crimes we documented and shut down a number of factory farms that we investigated, just to give people hope that it is possible, and to say that it's such a welcome relief to be talking to you guys, because you all are the solution. And I'm so used to dealing with the problem, so I'm grateful to you. I'm just really grateful to you. So thank you so much.
Gail, for being here with us today, for speaking to us, for writing your book, and for doing all the work that you do. We really appreciate it. Thank you all for being here for our sangha. hope you all have a good rest of your weekend, and hope to see many of you next month. Thanks again, Gail, and thank you all.
You.
Yes, thank you, Gail. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie and Gail.
Thank you,
Great.
Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you.